nation, and a million faces formed together, made for elevation. I'm a soldier, won't surrender. Faith is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard, love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath. When you pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up, heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up, heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic static. Call me a fanatic, it's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping in the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath. When they pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up, heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up, heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic static. Call me a fanatic, it's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us. This is how we rise up, heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up, heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic static. Call me a fanatic, it's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us.
And welcome everybody to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. We are here live from the Republican State Convention here in Foxwoods Casino, and I tell you what, it's pretty interesting already. We're covering both. We're not only going to cover the Republican, we're going to be covering the Democrat convention also, and there's already fireworks going on over there at the Democrat convention. Unfortunately, I can't be in two places at one time, so here I am. I'm over here at the Republican State Convention, and we're going to be here live all weekend, getting you guys up to date on everything that's going on in the convention, and the winners and losers, and the primaries, and we'll give a kind of an update on everything else. Also, it looks like there's a little bit of action going on over at the Democratic Convention with our very own Hilda Santiago. Apparently, she's in a little bit of trouble Apparently, she is saying she had an endorsement of Ned Lamont, obviously the governor of the state of Connecticut, but she does not. And apparently, her opponents did not appreciate it. So we'll see what happens over there. We do have a crew over there, so we'll keep up to date on what's going on. Obviously, for the city of Meriden, that is actually a big race, because if Hilda does end up getting that primary, or she ends up getting that nomination or the primary, then obviously that's going to open up seat 84, which is downtown Meriden. So that would be an interesting. Then you have three races in the city of Meriden and the surrounding towns. That's going to be an open seat. So there's a lot of things going on. A lot of things depend on what's going on this weekend. So we'll keep track of everything going on. We'll be periodically on and off throughout the weekend, and we'll try to keep you guys up to date on what's going on. For obviously the Republican convention, you're really looking at the Secretary of State, you're looking at the U.S. Senate, some two big races there. Obviously for the Democrats, you're looking at the Secretary of State, and you're looking at the Treasurer for those races. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll try to get you guys as many candidates as we possibly can up here. They will be going on. As you can see, we actually have a pretty good spot here inside the hall. So, we're on location this year. Obviously, for those of you who are just joining us, as always, I am Joe Vollano. I'm your host, your guiding light through all the hard times and the craziness going on. And I am your host to keep you up to date on everything and making sure you're staying informed. Because remember, the people that they nominate this weekend on both sides, respective sides, no matter who they put up, they're gonna be looking to represent you. And it's important that you understand who they are and make sure you're doing your research on who they are. So I'll put it up there. We are still obviously, even though we are on location, we do still have access to all of our phone systems and email. And of course, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, and all those other social medias that we normally are on, you can actually join in on the message board. I see it is up and running, and you guys are flying away on it. So I thank you. Here at the Republican convention, they have just gotten started. They're just going over some formalities to make sure that the convention goes smoothly. But we'll go through all the races that are coming up here. And like I said, we'll also keep you up to date on what's going on over at the Hartford Convention Center, because that is currently where the Democrats are just starting their convention, which again will last today and tomorrow. And like I said, we'll see where everybody ends up at the end of the day. I think a couple things will come out of this. You're going to have a lot of primaries, I believe, coming out of this. I don't imagine that the U.S. Senate here for the Republicans is going to be settled tonight. I don't believe that the treasurer, the Secretary of State, will not be settled here tonight. And they got some great candidates that are up for the nomination. So I don't know if you guys can see me well, but hopefully you guys can. Obviously, I apologize if you get some of the background noise. We are sitting here right underneath one of the speakers, unfortunately. So, but we'll see how much we could get up, and I'm going to give you guys a quick view of what's going on around here.
Nominations and ask for the delegates to put in place our candidates for the offices of Attorney General, Treasurer, Governor, and Lieutenant Governor.
So obviously that who you're listening to right now is Ben Prudhoe. He is the chairman of the Republican Party here in the state of Connecticut. And like I said, they had just got started. I know there's still a ton of people that are coming in because the line was long for everyone that's actually staying here. Yeah, we're around here all day. So look at that. So like I said, we'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on, and we'll try to get you as much coverage as we can. Let's see if I could even.
Through the office of Comptroller and close the convention with the office of Secretary of State. Does that give you an idea of?
So like I said, the two races to watch here in the Republican side is Secretary of State and the U.S. Senate, who will take on. They're going to try to determine who's going to take on Blumenthal, obviously, who is going to be endorsed by the Democrats on the other side. So, but yeah, enough of them over there. Look at back over here. I had my separate camera here. I had an additional camera, but I ended up accidentally dropping it, and I ended up breaking my my other tripod. But like I said, so obviously Secretary of State, you have Barack, you have Peter Lamage, or no, I'm sorry, the U.S. Senate is Peter Lamage. And look at that, we're
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Obviously,
say hello.
Obviously, we have our great councilman, Ray Hollett, that's joining us. He's actually a delegate here.
Camera.
It's right there.
Hi, folks. How are you today? Great time here.
So now this is your first one, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Jump on that microphone over there. So obviously we have obviously one of our councilmen. He's also a delegate, first-time delegate here in the state for the state convention. And I tell you what, if you've never been to one of these are actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive. There's people take this stuff very seriously, which is the way it should be.
Yeah, listen. I mean, obviously there's a process, and people take it very seriously because they want to make sure that we put the best people forward, and that's why I'm sure you've probably heard from most of the delegates.
I have, and it's quite overwhelming because they have different people reaching out to you all the time for the last 2-3 weeks trying to sell their spiel, and I think it's important and it's pretty impressive, and I'm glad I'm here. And so,
Yeah, I mean, this is probably my fourth or fifth one, and I just became a delegate today because somebody backed out. So I get to do dual presses for this one. I thank to the state GOP for having setting us up here. We have, like I said, we have a nice little table up here in the back, so that we come live all weekend long. But so now
I can't hear you out of here, so I'm listening to you.
you can't. Let me see where you're at. How about now?
I don't know if I can hear you. I can hear you because I'm sitting next to you. That's all right.
Well, it gets a little loud here every once in a while, so I apologize if it's a little hard of hearing or if you're getting some backfill. So now, obviously, we have two races here in the state for the Republicans that are really going to be contested. You have your Secretary of State,
Right.
and you have your U.S. Senate.
Right.
Any glimpse on your projection of who's going to take it?
I believe the person that they've been working hard is Leora Levy. She's been working really hard, putting a lot of effort into it. But is it Weber? I mean, I believe
That's Secretary of State.
I'm sorry, yeah.
The former
Lamage.
Lamage is going for Secretary for U.S. Senate also.
Yeah, Lamage, very well spoken. I had the pleasure of talking with him. Very well spoken. He makes you want to listen to him. So between those two, I mean, I think they're both great candidates.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Peter's obviously been around the block a couple times. I've met him several times.
Yep.
Great backstory.
Sure.
Obviously, you have the former House Minority Leader, Thurmis, is also running in that race, and she's predicted to have the edge over everybody. Obviously, she has the connections. She's raised a lot of money.
A lot of money.
But then you have Levy, who has loaned herself a lot of money, where she's loaned herself over $750,000. So, I mean, I wish I had $750,000 just to throw around, you know.
Sure.
But
She's from Greenwich, but she's, she came from Cuba and a hard-working lady, and she goes after what she believes in. So,
yeah, yeah. I had the opportunity to meet her over at the Green Olive when she was in Meriden. So, yeah. So, and then you got the Secretary of State.
Yep.
And I think you're probably gonna have obviously you have Barack, there are a couple others. Dominic.
Yeah. I can't say his last Rapino.
Yeah.
He seems to be doing. Listen, I'm all about the work. If you're doing the work, I'm good with that. Get out there and do the work. So, thank you, Joe. I'm going to leave.
Yeah,
you have extended my welcome.
You have things to do, and you have people to do. I'll talk to you later. So thank you, Councilman, for joining us. He had a little surprise visit from our councilman. But like you said, it takes a lot of work, and if you're willing to put the work in, obviously good things can happen. So this is where you figure out whether or not all that hard work and that messaging paid off for you, because this is where it matters. You have a room full of state delegates that are here to do some amazing things. And again, will it be enough to get their message across and get the delegates on their side? Time will tell. Over the next 2 days, we'll find out. But let's check in to see what's going on over at the Democratic side. I have that up and running over here. Make sure. So they are just getting started themselves.
With my 94-year-old grandfather.
Now bring that over here. So they have just gotten started themselves. They're doing introductions now. So yeah, we're doing double duty all day. So for me, I just became a delegate today. I wasn't expecting to be a delegate. I was here just for the show, to make sure that you guys are informed. And for those of you who never experienced what one of these state conventions are like, they are pretty amazing, and they're a lot of fun. And if you're a true Republican and you're a true conservative, you get to finally meet up with some people that are like-minded. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of everybody, obviously, but I do have my favorites. I will not sit there and state right up front on who I'm going to be picking, but after the races are over and they're selected, then obviously I'll let you know who I picked. I don't want to influence anybody. It's not my job to influence anybody. I need people to make up their own mind, and if delegates are watching, which I know some of them are, I like them to make up their mind for themselves. And I will be more than happy to explain why I picked who I picked, or if they ask me privately. Why not be real? Listen, I understand some things. Some things we will talk about, and we'll maybe as we get closer towards the end, I will put in who I think is the best selection. I think for as far as Secretary of State, I think there's two that I'm interested in. Most likely, I'll narrow it down to one over because that's not being chosen until tomorrow, along with the U.S. Senate is being done tomorrow, and the U.S. Senate I'll mention tomorrow morning who I'm going to take. Because again, we do have an opportunity to meet with these people, with these candidates one more time tonight. So, again, if you never been to one of these, so it's basically if you ever been to a trade show, is the closest I could put it to. There's going to be a lot of FaceTime with the delegates and the candidates. And they will have separate rooms off the floor where they will wine and dine you and woo you as much as they possibly can to get every single delegate vote. So the way the system works, I'm going to break it down for you guys real quick. For those of you who don't know how the system works, they will be the first round. And obviously, if it's a contested race, there'll be a first round. And you would need to get at least 17% to move on to the second round. After the second round, you need to get to 30%, and if you get to 30%, then you get an automatic primary spot. You don't have to go and get signatures for it. So after that is done, then most of the candidates will release their delegates. And what does that mean? So at the end of the day, someone's got to have 51%. So that happens usually after the second round. Once you've locked up your spot on the primary, those candidates usually will release their delegates and basically telling their delegates, go vote as you wish. And then the third round, usually you'll get a winner. If not, then obviously there's a fourth round, and they really start narrowing it down. If anyone was around a couple of years ago when Republicans had I think like 7 or 8 people running for governor. It was a real long convention. And I think we made it through like 5 rounds before the Danbury mayor ended up coming out with the 51%. And partially that was actually due to Meriden. I know a couple of people switched over after they were released by the candidate, and that finally put them over the top. So again, it is it is strategical. These people, most of these candidates came in with a good strategy to sit there and at least get a primary. If nothing else, a primary is a win here, because then you allow the people to make the final decision. And I always like when the people have the final say. So for people who don't like primaries could go either way. Primaries, I believe, are good. I think they're good for parties. I think they're good for democracy because it gives people a choice, and it really gets you to hear those candidates a lot more. So I'm somewhat a fan of primaries. So I know we almost had one in Meriden. I was having no issue with that. Again, but primaries are good as long as you stick to what matters, and that's what you're going to do for your constituents. And I think that's where things go off the rails, because listen, I said it plenty of times. Campaigns really bring out the true character in the candidates, especially when they're contested, especially when there's a primary. To say, yeah, we're going to keep it clean and we're going to talk about the issues and we're going to talk about what I want to do, that usually, once you start losing in the polls, is usually when that goes off the rails and you start personally attacking each other. And if anyone remembers 2016, when you had Republicans basically going after each other personally most of the campaign, and again, same thing with the Democrats. Democrats do the same thing. Listen, it's doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. It happens everywhere. When your back is against the wall, your true colors will come out. So, but I expect this one to be a pretty good indication on where the party seems to want to go. And the same thing with the Democrats. I'm really interested to see where they go. Do they move to the center or do they move far left? And that will really be determined by who they select and for their nominees to be in the position of power. And the same thing with Republicans. Are we going to go to the right or are we going to go to the center? I like the center. I think the center is where the independents are. But at the same time, you have to make sure you hold true to your values. And for me, that's the most important. So we'll see what happens. So we're going to take a break here. We are going to be back after they start the first votes. They're going to be interesting. I think most of these are going to be uncontested. So we'll just break it down on who won each one, and we'll come back live probably around 6:30. I think it might be the first one. Either 6:30 or 7 o'clock is going to be the first round of votes. So we'll see what happens there. But obviously, as always, make sure you keep up. On what's going on, and I'll put periodic updates on the Straight Talk with Joe Vollano page, and we'll see what happens. But until then, guys, we're just going to take a quick break here. You'll see us come back on stream. I'll give you guys a 5-minute warning when we're going to do that, and we'll go from there. All right, so guys, I'll see you guys shortly. Probably, like I said, probably about 6:30 whenever the first votes start to happen. And we'll keep you guys up to date, and obviously we'll keep you up to date on what's going on over at the Democrat one also. So until then, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back.